lovelies. How's it going out there, people? Rock Castaldo here on the call. It's a Shaman live session. Do a quick session here. But check this out. I'm walking by, and this dragonfly died on the wall like that, stuck there. How crazy is that? Dude is either frozen in time or he's dead. Is he moving? Oh shit, he is alive. Wow, he's talking to me right now. Come on, buddy, give me more info. No, I won't hurt you.
Like for instance, I know people say to me, "Do you save your geraniums?" I say, "No." Oh yeah. Isn't it pretty? It's very pretty. My God, Father said there's
Yeah, he's letting me communicate with him. Look at. I thought he was frozen dead there or something.
I'm shocked at it. I really am shocked that it came out.
Check that out.
Things come back. You know, there, yeah. My dog destroyed it. She runs through everything. But it looks like it's been. Maybe the way I never saw these, I don't think. Because you see them in office buildings and everything.
I have a huge tattoo of a dragonfly on my arm too, so I have a deep connection with dragonflies, enough for me to tattoo my skin with it. How awesome is this? It's almost like it's some sort of interdimensional creature that has taken the form of this dragonfly. Look at his wings vibrating. Oh, there he goes. The flight of the dragonfly. Dragonflies in Rembrance. So I finally am able to edit my website. I was kind of locked out of it for a little while, but I got it figured out. It was an update that I wasn't checking. So I'll be able to update my website. If you guys also are looking for crystals, I'm doing a huge deal because it's coming to holiday time, and this is Halloween to everybody. To me, it's called the Shadow Fest. It's called the Festa de Umbra. So I'm doing a huge deal on crystals and tensor tools for this holiday season. And you can ask anybody who's been a customer of mine out there. My tensor tools and my crystals are so powerful. Among the most powerful you could find out there. It takes me a lot of time to custom make these and to find the right high class crystals for everybody. And I'm doing a huge deal, so I have them up on my website now, some of them, but I'm going to be adding even more tonight. And I'm also going to be doing a show later on this afternoon, about 5 or 6 o'clock Eastern time, with Masaki Miyagawa of Akaida.com, and we're going to be going deep down this new change, the 2020 change, and we're going to be talking about places like Israel and some Kabbalah and artificial intelligence and a lot of changes that are going to be happening that we feel are related to not only artificial intelligence, but a lot of underground secret societies that are merging science and spirituality to bring themselves an empire and to bring themselves a higher dimensional existence. But what really they're doing is just feeding themselves to the artificial intelligence. And it's my understanding too that the fires that are being set, even what happened in Puerto Rico, this is designed. And it's more than just about money. It's more than just about herding people away from these sites. The sites that are under attack right now with fires, storms everywhere are being zoned out. People are being kept away from those zones. Not only are they hurting the elemental forces, but they are hurting interdimensional activity. And I know this sounds crazy to some people, but what we see here, and people, you could support me right here in the super chat. You can support me at live chat. You can also support me on my website, or my Patreon. But I definitely urge you guys to get the crystals and tensor tools before my crystals are all out. Before they're all gone. Tensor tools, I can always make more, but the crystals, they're once in a lifetime crystals. So definitely check out my website. But what I was saying is that these areas not only are being deliberately messed with, but what you see, the physical activity that you see on our planet now is only the protruding force of what's happening higher dimensionally. And I want people to try to understand what we're dealing with here is that when we see certain things happening in our physical realm, we are in the lower realm. What's happening higher dimensionally is like a domino effect. It affects all of us, right? But what we're seeing here protruding out of our physical surface is only because something higher dimensionally is taking place, and this is only our physical representation of it on this plane. And what's happening higher dimensionally is a super intelligence, artificial intelligence, is consuming certain things in our spiritual realms, and it's consuming it, taking it over, wrapping itself around it, entwining it, replicating it, and entwining it, and taking its place. And we are seeing a replication of that technology on our planet, and it's taking the place of our spiritual abilities. And if people can't see that, it's you're blind. I mean, look at you. You don't have to telepathically communicate with anybody because you could just text message them, right? You don't have to do any studying because you could just go on Google and get the answer, right? So this is what's taking place on our planet, and people need to understand this. And I'm going to start scheduling my readings again. So people, if you want to book a reading with me, start to do it now, because I'm starting to do my readings again. I took a little break because there's been spiritual turmoil out there. Even my buddy Frank Castle, I did a lot of combat prayer for him lately. Shout outs to Frank, because he was really sick for a while. And even Paula, I think, and their family. And so a lot of prayers to Frank Castle and his family, because we've been doing a lot of combat praying. And I've been going through a lot of spiritual, intense activity because of my spiritual obligations and my spiritual calling. And it's been crazy lately. So I had to take a break from doing readings for people for like a couple weeks, but now I'm back, and we're going to be getting this shit done because it's time. And the next year, people are going to be looking for answers. It's a blessing and a curse the way I guess you could say my abilities are, because I almost died when I was younger, and something changed in the way I see things. And I could sense not only auric fields, but I get visions, and I get symbols and certain holographic images in my mind on a minute to minute basis. It's happened. So it only got enhanced when I did ayahuasca, and I only did ayahuasca one time in 2002, and I did it the right way. I did a Muay Thai camp first. I cleaned out my body, and then I went to Brazil for a little while and stayed and I was actually on the border of where the Acre River is. And it was a 3-day event that I did, but I had cleaned my body out for weeks and weeks before that, months. And it opened up the doorway on top of my head even more. And what we're seeing with faith technology and if you want to say interdimensional technology, we're seeing a replication of it on our realm, and it's like I said, it's taking the place of who we are. It's taking the place of our true spiritual evolution. And there's a higher dimensional collapse that's taking place. And I've been writing a book about obelisks and spiritual technology, different spiritual technology, and it's led me down the realm of the Fae again. And I have a high ancestral connection to what we would call the Fae or the Foleto, and these are just higher dimensional beings that we once walked among before the fall of man. Before man collapsed, we were working entwined with the secrets of nature, working towards a spiritual evolution with these beings. And now it's gone malicious. And now what we're seeing is a spiritual higher dimensional war, a collapse. And it's very, very important that people try to understand that, like what I said, what we're seeing here is the protruding force of something higher dimensionally. And through my writing this book about spiritual technology and obelisks, it's gone me to look into the real root of the beginnings of certain, and why we name things certain names. Everything is encoded. And just the very name obelisk, it's in the Egyptian ancient times, it was of course not called obelisk. That's our word for it. It was called tekhen or tekhen, and it is from the root word of tkn. That's the root to it, tkn. And this is almost exactly similar to in Kabbalah that they call the tikkun, the tikkun. This is from the same root word, same as technology. This comes from the same, or text. This comes from the same root word, and a tikkun in Kabbalah, in Hebrew, means a rectification, to rectify. It can even mean to weave or to fabricate or to create or to build up. What's up, Mark? Mark, I'm gonna email you eventually. I wanted to talk to you about certain things, and maybe we could. I don't know if you're good at computers or not either, so I needed to ask you a few things about certain things. But yeah, I'll eventually email you back. I know you emailed me the other day. We'll touch base soon. It's very, very intense what's happening, because there's just beyond the sun and moon are gateways, and they are both access points to our realm, and they're portals in themselves. And these gates have been opened, and these interdimensional codes or creatures, if you want to say, they are pure energy. They are returning back to our realm, or back into they're moving to our realm because they have no other choice. They're being consumed. And the reason why, one of the main reasons why, that fires are being set in certain places, and things are going wrong, not only does it take away the elemental energy, it causes chaos within nature, but it also is hurting and keeping them in zones and hurting them, and they're keeping tracks, because we are after interdimensional technology. We are after Fae technology. And if you've looked at my recent work, the last few shows I did, the show I did on Friday night and Saturday night on Truth Frequency Radio. Once I was a guest on Paranormal Portal with Brent Thomas, and then my show Saturday night, I did solo by myself, and this was about this. And I have been finding. Yeah, thank you, Melinda. Yeah, you know what? It's sometimes my interpretation is not correct, because it's like higher my higher dimensional self, my higher consciousness, my higher self is showing it to me symbolically through my genetic code, through my ancestral understanding. So sometimes when I get certain symbols, I might not be interpreting right, but it's coming from source, like it's coming from the right. I'm just, sometimes I'm not reading the symbolic visions I'm getting right. Let me give you an example. Is that I'm getting visions of spiritual activity. Not only when I research something am I getting flashes and visions and just a gnosis that comes over me, and knowing, like I'll see something and then I'll have a knowing that just comes over me, and I'll be writing like it's coming to me divinely, almost like a ruach hakodesh, like in Hebrew they call, right? Just some sort of divine inspiration. You're just getting a gnosis. But so if I'm researching something, sometimes just this gnosis comes over me about it. I get visions about it. Not only that, but it seems that I'm getting visions of spiritual activity that are possible timelines or possible things that might happen on our planet just prior to them happening. which is really mind blowing and really freaking me out sometimes, no matter how many times it happens. Let me give you an example. The last few weeks before this happened, right during the vernal equinox and during the times of the vernal equinox, I was getting visions, and I was talking about it publicly right on here, on my Patreon, on everywhere. I was getting visions of a stone being washed, a sacred mother goddess stone being washed in the Tiber River and being put in the Tiber River. And I felt it was the Mater Sibyl stone that's connected to my ancestry. It's a brownish black meteorite that, from what I saw, was about 3 feet tall and conical that you can hold with two hands. And I saw it being put in the Tiber River and washed and then taken back out and locked into place in the Vatican in a secret vault, like in some secret chamber, right? And that I saw on the vernal equinox. And I saw it being connected to asteroids coming and all sorts of things, right? So I'm talking about this. Then right after that, a couple of weeks after that, what happens is that the Vatican and members of the Vatican, they had put the mother goddess of the Amazon, Pachamama, that statue next to the Madonna in one of their St. Mary churches, one of the Holy Mary churches in Rome. They had it charging there spiritually as an equal to the Madonna in the church. And then some people grabbed it out of there and they threw this in the Tiber River as a ritual. This is not just to condemn some pagan. You don't understand. The Tiber River has been used as a spiritual, eternal river for Rome since the recorded history. It's about spiritual activity, the Tiber River. Even dragons have emerged from the Tiber River during floods. Suicides. Emperors have killed themselves next to this Tiber River. Emperor Nero went mad conversing with the Tiber River and the disembodied Rephaim that arose from the waters there and infected Emperor Nero. And he was even buried under the Palazzo di Popolo for a short time until the walnut tree was cut down. I've talked about this all before. But this Tiber River is used for spiritual ritual. And the Pachamama statue was taken after charged in the Catholic Church. It was taken, thrown in the Tiber River, and then Pope Francis, the whole world was talking about it, right? It was getting activated in the consciousness about everybody, causing chaos amongst people as well, causing controversy amongst people. And then what happens? Pope Francis has it retrieved from the Tiber River and taken back. So it was literally like it was washed off in the Tiber River and invoked the wrath of the mother goddess, or invoked her in some way, and then put back. And now it was retrieved by the police, but for Pope Francis, right? So and I literally said the Tiber River. I saw it was old Rome. I saw, and the Pachamama is like the Sibyl, the Mater. It's the mother goddess. It represents the mother goddess. The Sibyl would embody the Sibyl stone I was talking about. It is the Mater. It is the mother goddess. And Pachamama is the mother goddess. She's the queen of the Fae. She's the queen of the forest. She's the queen of fertility. She's the queen of the witches. And yes, so new moon is a very powerful moment. And I'm going to share with you right now something that I only is actually going to be being taught at my shaman's course. And I will be posting another shaman course episode in a few days. I've already started recording it. I've done 2 other classes, but I have a new moon cleansing ancestral exercise. And it's not like anything else out there. And it happens for the new moon. It's a new moon cleansing. And what basically it is when the moon is completely not there, right? It's about new beginnings. So you go meditate somewhere by yourself and you say out to the moon, what you do is basically you call upon your higher self. You call upon your higher consciousness. And you use the moon as being not in the sky, as an elemental nature powerful reference, and you're helping charge this energy with the moon. And you call upon your higher self, that where there's no ego, there's a moral universal harmony that your higher self knows about. It knows the difference between what you're supposed to be doing and what you're not supposed to be doing, and when you're compromised or not. The higher self does not get compromised. Our lower self, our who we are in this body, gets compromised. Our morals get compromised sometimes. We compromise our morals from the certain decisions we make, certain things we do. So during the new moon, you go out there all by yourself within nature, sit somewhere quiet, looking up at the sky, it's the new moon, and you call upon your higher self. And you talk to your higher self, and you tell your higher self all the things that you won't admit to other people about yourself. Things that you've done that you would not admit to anybody else. Things that you hide about yourself. Things that you might feel bad about yourself for doing. Say you got drunk one night and you had sex with somebody you didn't want to have sex with, and you compromised your morals, or you did anything. It could be anything. You talk to your higher self and let everything out that is the dark rights of yourself. All the dark energy that you have inside yourself, you let it out and you cleanse it, and you make amends with it. And then on the first sliver of the moon, the next night, the next 3 nights, when you start to see the new crescent moon, that's when you start to do your amends. As soon as the next moon comes up, it's like the new you. And I teach how to do this in a spiritual exercise. And it has to do with even sometimes tracing the crescent moon in the air as the first light of the crescent moon comes, and it's like the new you starting. And this is a way to use and charge yourself with the powers of the moon and the powers of knowledge of your higher self. So there's a difference between my ancestral line and the Malandante. Now the Malandante, the difference between someone that is a good walker and using shamanism in a positive way, and besides using someone in a negative way, I'll give you the negative side of the aspect. Someone that is a dark shaman can do similar rituals, but they will be calling on certain elemental gods or goddesses or fallen watchers or Grigori or whoever you want to call them to assist them in this, to sort of give them powers to eliminate the ego or to eliminate this bad energy within them. And they will even be using their blood and mixing their blood with plants and making plant familiars that way and different things like this. So there's a darker aspect to trying to cleanse yourself, and it makes you not go through it within your own spiritual consciousness. And the darker aspect of things is shaman will try to get assistance from the elemental forces and the powers of nature to try to make them less vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Give them more power, so they sort of like, instead of cleansing and amending their morality, they eliminate their morality altogether and say, oh, I won't have any of these dark issues anymore, because you know what? I'm beyond that. I could do whatever I want without the consciousness, without feeling any pain. And the whole way you spiritually evolve is by feeling what went wrong and amending it the right way. So there's a darker aspect to that new moon ritual. The dark shaman will be calling on otherworldly forces to come into them, to take hold of them, so they don't get compromised anymore, because the other force will eliminate that. You have to make amends with your higher self and realize the times you've compromised your morals and learn from it. And it's you're supposed to have sensitivity. So what's up in the chat room? What's up, everybody? Yeah. So that's the power. Hey, what's up, Jess? What's going on? Yeah, everybody, I have amazing new golden healer clusters. I have Lemurian wands. I'm almost out of kyanite, really almost out of kyanite. I have only like less than a dozen pieces of kyanite left. So if people want the kyanite, my golden healer clusters, I got probably about 50 of them left. But I have some amazing stock right now that people need to get for the Halloween time, or for the new seasons coming, and holidays and Christmas and all that stuff coming up. Definitely can hook you guys up with a good deal. Like I said, I'll have some information on my website about I'm going to be giving a discount on some of my prices and my readings. So I want to start booking the readings again. I took a couple of weeks off, but through what's been taking place on the planet, my site, my second site, has been off the charts more than ever, and it's taken me 30 years. I'm 41, but since my near death experience at 9-10 years old, I've been being able to like hone my abilities a little bit better. I didn't understand them for a long time, but I'm understanding them a lot better now, and I'm able to read people like never before. And I'm able to tap into their spiritual timelines, and get visions about them, and even tap into ancestral energies. So I could give you guys a life-changing reading, and we can, definitely talk about a deal for crystals if you want to contact me. Like I said, I'll be live this afternoon, later this evening, about 5 or 6 o'clock Eastern time with Misaki. And, I've been finding some amazing connections. And with dot connecting, you got to be very, you got to take it a certain way, because sometimes when you're trying to connect dots to research, people sort of just fit it in there and make it fit. But some of the things, the pieces that have been getting, just falling into place during my research, is really amazing. And if you guys haven't heard my recent groundbreaking discoveries about the Marian apparitions. Oh, thank you so much, Jess. Oh, thank you so much. I feel the love. Thank you. I've been making groundbreaking discoveries about certain Marian apparitions, and certain Marian Mary, or Diana, or whatever you want to call her, the Madonna, certain relics, and certain activity that's connected to resurrection of the dead, and the throat area, and arrows going through the throat. I made a lot of what's up, Luann? I made a lot of connections. One with the Virgin of Guadalupe, when they were having a parade for the tilma of Juan Diego. Somebody was shot through the throat with a Tartar's arrow and resurrected from the dead. And Poland, Lady of Cheskawa, was shot through the throat. The portrait was shot through the throat from a Tartar's arrow, and that scar on the throat miraculously cures people, and always returns when an artist would touch it up. And the Madonna is Diana, and how do you evoke a Diana? With the bow and arrow, with the arrow. So that is not a coincidence. And then the big, huge Madonna, the Black Madonna at the Catholic Retreat Center that I go to, has a pentagram on her throat. And the throat is where you come and do all the chanting for Mary, all the Hail Marys, all the gloryful mysteries, sorrowful mysteries, all of the prayers and mantras go to Mary from the throat. Well, guess what? I find another huge link to that. I'm looking through the Ritual of the Dead in the Book of the Dead of ancient Egypt, and they have a god or goddess assigned to every different part of the body. And who's assigned to the neck but Isis? So this is this is all occult and spiritual activity that is right underneath our nose that people aren't looking at. And I'm going to check back with you guys in a little while. I got to go charge my phone. And I'm actually in the middle of writing my book about the obelisks. I'm doing some intense research and finding a lot of connections out there. So stick around. Go check out the website, themysticalspiral.com. Smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't. And check me out at patreon.com/themysticalspiral. Much love, Jess. Much love everybody else in the chat room. Blue Ann, Dave, Thoth, Mark. I know there's a whole bunch of people in there. Hocus Apophis. Well, Scott, Fifth World, everybody out there. Thank you for stopping by. Melinda, everybody out there. And Spiral out.